Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me with this renumbering envelopes sort of webinar for Church360 members. It is just kind of a typical year-end task that some churches do. You are by no means required to do it, but I just thought, kind of more ahead of time before the busy Advent season, we could just kind of go over everything relating to envelopes here. So thank you for joining me on that. So without further ado, just a brief introduction. My name is Taylor Brown. I am a software support technician here at Concordia Technology Solutions. Been here for about 6 years now, really enjoying talking to church folk like yourselves, and hopefully, bringing a little bit more resources to kind of help you learn all of the administrative tasks that our software provides. Just to let you know, all phones and microphones have been muted just so that everybody can hear me. If you do have any questions or any issues, please feel free to go ahead and enter in to our question answer portion of things. I might not be able to answer it immediately, but I will have my manager, Rod Kiles. He'll kind of be in the question answer session, kind of answering questions as he can. Anything that he doesn't get to, we can definitely address at the very end of the webinar, no big deal. And then we'll just open it up for question and answers in addition to that. So just as a brief little overview here, we are going to have just a bit of a class agenda here, just all things relating to envelopes. And then we'll just have an outline and a discussion of things. Then we'll have a recap. So everybody who hates questions and polls during webinars, breathe a sigh of relief. Not going to put you through that. We're just going to go over and recap just various different options or just important concepts relating to envelopes in Church360. And then we'll just round it out with that question and answer session at the end. So just with that outline involved, we are kind of going to go over the envelopes view for just a list of just everybody that could possibly have envelopes assigned to them. We'll also go into more detail relating to the renumbering utility itself. You can renumber and edit people's envelope numbers manually if you need to, but we also have a utility that you can renumber your entire list of envelope numbers, or even just like different subsets of people as needed. Then we'll also go over kind of the pros and cons on each side on whether or not maybe you want to apply those changes immediately and just have everybody's envelope number just updated right now, or also just scheduling it out further into the future, which can definitely be helpful when you're planning things before that Advent season, so that not everything is all crazy and you have to do everything all at once right before the beginning of the year. And then we'll also kind of go over generating different lists and labels, especially if you have those scheduled. You can generate lists of what you have currently and what you have upcoming, and then also generating labels relating to that as well. And then just kind of opening it up, just depending on what your needs are from there. So let's just go ahead and get it started then. So okay then, so here is my webinar site here. Basically in Church360, envelope numbers are not required. So if you have no intention of using this envelope number, no big deal. You can assign offerings to a person's name or to a couple as needed, and it is assigned to that giving unit. The envelope number, as well as the next envelope number, if it is scheduled, that is just an additional field that you can use as much or as little as you would like. So not only do you not have to have envelope numbers at all in the site to use Church360 to its fullest extent, but you also don't have to renumber every single year either. Normally with renumbering, especially using that renumbering utility, you can just use this whenever you need something to be like consolidated, or if you just have a particular subset or a new numbering system that you kind of wanted to put in place. So, you know, by no means is this pressuring you into using one type over another or one numbering system over another, but you can just definitely take advantage of just this specific field, just depending on whatever your needs are. And looking here, I have all of my givers here. I am showing just my members at this current point in time with 164 givers right now. And you can kind of see that there are like gaps in the numbering system. I don't have a 2 here. I just have this large number, and then it skips down to 3 and then 4, and I have no 5. In these types of situations, this might be a time where you might be interested in, you know, taking advantage of that renumbering utility. And whether you're going to renumber something manually or use the utility to renumber them automatically, you can do this at any time in the year. There is no stipulation on you have to wait till the end of the year in order to do this. You can just kind of update these as needed, just depending on what numbering system or what your office setting is requiring you to use for various different envelope numbers. If you did want to navigate and kind of manage your envelope numbers, to do that, you will need to be kind of have some sort of administrator privileges, at least regarding settings. So in offerings, you have like the various different settings, like having your offering funds, your purposes for your offerings, your pledges, if you use that in your church, and then also your envelopes. So those would be kind of settings that you would set up before you actually went in to enter in your offerings as needed. And so by that extension, over on the left-hand side of our navigation bar, our settings area is located underneath this gear icon. So clicking on here, we have a list of all of the various different settings that you have access to, and then we have it grouped based off of the module that it's affecting. So specifically for offerings, we have right up front and center, we have our envelopes view, and this is where we're going to be spending most of our time today. So you would be able to go here and go into this envelopes view, and you will be able to see all of your givers, just absolutely everybody that you have in your database. And you can see here that I have this 264 people currently, because I am showing everyone. That means living, dead, member, non-member, removed, non-removed, just everybody that I have in this database. But I don't have to give everybody an envelope number if I don't want to. And I can interact with this view as I need, depending on what situation it is that I'm looking for. In regards to manually updating your envelope numbers, you can just go down here and see your list of just all of the various different names. If you needed to, you can update this information one at a time. So if we wanted to, and this can also include things like marriages as well, if you have the administrator qualities to actually edit people's records here. So we have this list of all of the various different givers' names within this particular filter. And then we have a list of everyone's spouses. And this is going to show your spouses whether you're giving with their spouse or not. So if I wanted to add a spousal relationship from this view, and I'm able to both have administrator qualities in both offerings and regarding people, then you can type in a spouse name. So if we have Deidre Barber here and Leon Barber here, they are married, but maybe after they've been added in, maybe they just haven't been added that relationship in there just yet, but we do want to give them an envelope number. We can type in here his name here, and we can select him to add him as a spouse here. So then we have Leon and Deidre on the same line so that they can share the same number. If I wanted to split them up, if maybe they just wanted different envelope numbers, I could just uncheck this box and they would still be together. They do still have that marriage involved in here. So Deidre is still married to Leon. It's just they are on two separate lines if they wanted to give separately and have their own envelope number. Either way, whether it is that you are adding in a spouse from this view, or if you're marking them as joint givers, or like we have here with the Boltons, if they wanted to give separately, that is an option as well. So you can just be as free as you would like regarding joint contributors with that. Then you have on your list here, excuse me, you have a list of all of their current envelopes, and that's kind of what we saw on that giver's view previously. And we can see here that the Abbotts right here, they have number 1, and Jacob's been given this large 5-digit number for some sort of reason. Maybe it was imported from Shepherd staff and it just had an old legacy assignment. But either way, you just kind of have these current envelopes, and you can kind of determine exactly how you would like to approach those by interacting with this next envelope field. So right now, if it's 1 and then there's this 12,000 number and 3 and 4, we can keep the ones that we want, and we can manually edit the ones that we just want to update right now. So if right now I wanted to update the Jacob Abbott envelope number, I can go over here and highlight the next envelope and clear that out. Maybe I don't want him to have any sort of number. Then I can just kind of clear that out and leave that blank, and it is kind of designated with that little dot, letting you know that, hey, a change has been made, but it hasn't been applied or scheduled yet. And if you wanted to, you can just go down the line and assign things accordingly. If we wanted to add Jeffrey Alexander, we can add in a brand new envelope by clicking inside of this field here, and you can very faintly see this number 2 that's available, because you know the 2 is available. It is the lowest number that's available here. So I could give him the number 2 if I wanted to, and it will show that unsaved change. Same thing with the Barbers here. We are marking them as giving jointly, so that's a change that we would need to save. Maybe then I would want to go ahead and give them the number 5 if it was available. Or if I had another number in mind, then I could enter that in as well. But if you wanted to, you could just go down the line and manually change these. There's nothing stopping you from that. And if you are just kind of updating things from here or there, like we have what looks like 3 different changes that we have currently, if we wanted to apply those immediately, you certainly can. And if it is just a handful here and there, then I would go ahead and go down here and click on this Apply Changes button. And so what this Apply Changes button means is it's going to be an immediate change. So if I press this button here, and it will let me know that this will be taking place immediately. It cannot be undone. There is not going to be an undo button that's going to just make everything back the way it was. I can go ahead and confirm this, and then it basically replaces whatever was in the current envelope with those changes that I had put in. So you can see these changes that are available here. And if you wanted to use this purely manually, you certainly can. If you wanted to take more advantage of some of the different utilities that are available, like maybe updating a certain subset of your givers in a profound way, then in this lower like black bar sort of area here on the left hand side, this is our actual renumbering utility here. And what this is going to do is it's going to renumber whatever visible rows it is that I'm looking at. So chances are I probably don't want to renumber all 264 people in my database. There are people who have passed away, there are people who've been removed, there are people who are not members. They probably don't need to have be in this order and have an envelope assigned to them. And instead, you can use either existing groups or you can use traits to filter this list so that you can use this utility to its fullest extent. And how to do that would be to go up to where it says everyone. This is a drop-down menu that you can choose any existing smart groups or tags that you have available. So as you're working in the various different facets of Church360, you might have a smart group like we have here with members or with birthdays that are designated with this little light bulb icon. And it just lets you know that this is based off of a trait. It's kind of dynamic. It's based off of fields. And so if you click on that, like for members, for example, it will filter those particular people to show that only people who fulfill the criteria of this group are going to be included. The same thing for tags. If I had a particular list of maybe people who were the finance committee or greeters, then I could use those as well, and it would show just people who have that particular tag. If instead I wanted to either see what the trait itself was that was being used to filter, or if I wanted to use it just purely use a filter that hasn't been saved as its own smart group, I instead have this little button down here, or down here, over to the right-hand side with these like 3 lines on here, and it's going to pull out a drawer that we can interact with the various different traits. So right now I have members selected, and it kind of shows you that, hey, this is showing only people who are living and those who are members now. They haven't been removed. So if that is the filter that I want to use, then I can use that. Or if I wanted to start with everyone with no traits, just showing everybody, I can start from scratch from here if I needed to. And this can definitely be helpful for certain types of data cleanup. Say, for instance, if I wanted to remove envelope numbers from those who have been removed for any sort of reason, then I can add in a trait here and add in the removed trait. And I can choose to show just those who have been removed from baptized membership in any particular reason. If I wanted to, I could click inside of here and choose various different options if I wanted to. I could also choose a time frame for those who have been removed recently or before the last year. I can use that as well, or I can just use just those who have been removed ever. Chances are they probably don't need their envelope number anymore. And I can see that I have these 3 people selected here. And if I wanted to, I could manually change them if I wanted to, or I could take advantage of this renumbering utility. And the first option would be to start automatically renumbering what it is that you see here from a particular number to start with. If I wanted to start from 1, I could click on the renumbering option with 1 already kind of pre-populated in here. Or if they don't need their envelope number anymore, I could click on the clear all option, and it essentially just clears everything out. They still have all of their current envelopes. You could still keep putting in their offerings, but until this is actually applied, or if it's scheduled to be applied, then when that time comes, then they will have no envelope number from there on out. And I can go and take this even further. With these 3 unsaved changes, I can keep those in mind, and then I can change my traits here by possibly choosing those who have an envelope number that's greater than like that 10,000 number, which can be indicative of, importing from shepherd staff. Maybe it was just a legacy sort of option. You just kind of want to clear out all the ones that are more than those 5 or 6 digit numbers. If you wanted to do that, you could select the envelope number option here. And first, it's going to show just anybody who has a current envelope. So if you already have your list of people who have a current envelope, then you could use this as a trait. Or instead of at all, I can choose those who have an envelope number that's greater than that 10,000 number, so that I can see that there are these kind of envelopes. I don't want them to really have that, and then I can click to clear all of those out. In addition to those who have a particular envelope number or those who have been removed, you can also renumber based off of their contribution history as well. So you can definitely take advantage of these traits from here. In addition to that, by instead of choosing a filter based off of the envelope number, then we can choose a trait based off of their contribution history. So choosing the contributed to option, I can filter to show those who have contributed to any fund to, let's see, what's my option here, to those who have given by cash or by check. That would make sense to have a physical envelope if they primarily give by cash or check. So if I wanted to choose a particular time frame for when it is that they've given, instead of ever, I could choose a between date, a beginning and ending date. I can choose during a particular year, so I can choose maybe during 2025. So if they have given during 2025, I can specify an amount if I want to. And then also the payment type as well. So if I want to show people who have contributed during 2025 by cash and check, then I have this list. And I can go even further and choose, maybe now I want to renumber based off of this particular selection that I have here with these 39 people, starting at 1, so that then I can kind of consolidate my numbering system. And by starting with 1 and clicking on the renumbering utility here, now I can see that I start with 1, 2, 3, 4, regardless of whatever their current envelope is. I can just base it off of this particular information. And then, in addition to this, I can go one step further, one more, I promise, for those who maybe only give online. So in contrast to those who have given by cash or by check, maybe I want to show those who haven't given by cash or check, but those who maybe have contributed, so have contributed to any fund, either within year 2025, or maybe if it is congruent to something to today's date, I can also choose in the last year, maybe, of any amount by maybe an electronic means instead. So if I wanted to kind of show just those who have not given by cash or check, but they have given recently electronically, maybe I want to use a different set of numbering systems for them. Maybe I want to label them as all 400s. So starting at 400 for those who've given electronically, I can go down here to this renumbering utility, enter in the number 400, and then click on renumbering to mark these 13 people as just the 400 people to those who have given online. You don't have to give an envelope number to those who give purely online. Your Vanco offerings, if they are imported, or any sort of previous offerings that you've entered in, they will not be affected by your changing of their envelope number at all. So this is just purely an idea on how you can do different numbering systems from here. But once you have that available in here, if you did mark it all the way back to showing everybody, all of those different subsets have been ordered and have been numbered in different ways. So the ones that haven't given, they've been removed. Those that give by cash and check started from 1, 2, 3, 4. For those who've given purely online, they are on the 400 level system. And you can just kind of tell either for data entry folk or just from your list on exactly how it is that they typically give. And this can be as complicated or as simple as you would like. You can just use those different subsets and then this renumbering utility to hopefully make things just a little bit easier when you're kind of choosing exactly what you want them to have. And you can just kind of see here that all of those unsaved changes are still denoted by that particular dot. So if I navigated away from here, I would lose all these changes because they haven't been saved. So I have a few choices, and those are highlighted down here by these 3 buttons over on the right-hand side. If I did find that there was some sort of conflict, say if maybe Jeffrey Alexander, I wanted to manually add in the number 2 option here, even though David and Shirley have been given that, it will tell you that there is a conflict. So if you clicked on the apply changes or the scheduled renumbering option, they will gray out. So if you do run into this situation, chances are it means that there is a conflict, and you will probably want to make sure that you're having all of your filters removed. You're looking at everyone. You can scroll down and kind of see what error message it is that you're looking at here so that you can kind of address that particular conflict. But when there are no conflicts, when you are all good and you have all of these unsaved changes, you have these 3 different buttons to apply here. The first one would be just to discard these changes, just go back to the way things were. All of these unsaved changes would be removed. So if you were just kind of experimenting, just kind of tinkering, seeing how things were going to be doing, how things were going to look by using that renumbering utility, you could discard those changes and they would not be applied. Also, you could apply those changes immediately. Now, this is where I would pause. So just like we had with that kind of handful of options that we had previously, if we're just adding here and there and maybe just kind of tweaking a number here and there, applying changes isn't going to be that big of a deal. It's going to be shown in the event log. You can always come back here and apply changes just to change it back manually. But if it is to a certain extent like what we have here, we're making all of these different changes, I would recommend scheduling the renumbering so that at the very least, when you are done, once you're finished scheduling this renumbering, it does have at least a day before it is applied. And one of the reasons is so that, one, you can generate an envelope number list of what is currently happening and what is upcoming, so that you have a list of both of those numbers in case you have some offerings that trickle in after the first of the year, so that you can tell exactly what envelope number was previously used. And you can also edit it as needed as well. So if you needed to just kind of tweak your scheduled renumbering, then you can just kind of keep it in kind of a work in progress and just kind of have it scheduled off into a few months and just continually update it from there. And then in addition to that, even if you have scheduled a renumbering and that date has passed that you had it set up for, there is a chance that we could undo it on the CTS side of things. So if you are making a major change, I would at least schedule it out a day just to make sure that all of your changes are the way that you want. And even if that scheduled change has been applied and you notice that, you can reach out to us here in support and we can see if we can reverse that. We can reverse the last scheduled renumbering that was applied. So if you did a massive event like this and you want to be brought back to whatever the current envelopes were, then we would most likely be able to do that. So that's just the only reason for caution here, just to make sure that you just have all of your reports as you need it before all of these changes are actually applied in one fell swoop. So how do we schedule that, Taylor? Very good question, guys. So in order to schedule renumbering, you would make all of your changes. They would be unsaved right now, as we can see here. Clicking on this scheduled renumbering option here, we then get to choose the date that we want these to be put into effect. And so typically you could choose January 1st if you wanted to. Some churches, you're probably not going to be entering in all of 2025's offerings on New Year's Day. So you might want to kind of put it further into the future. So you can click on here and choose maybe the 18th if we want to, just to be safe. We can choose that is the Sunday that we want everything to go into effect, so that when you're looking at it January 18th on that morning, that all of those envelopes have been successfully moved over. Once we have that selected, it will let you know exactly how many envelopes you are going to be changing, as well as if you're changing any marriages, like marking them as contributing jointly or separately, and then you'd be able to save that. Now, in addition to being able to undo it and being able to kind of maneuver around it, once you have this set to be scheduled, you can end up generating your lists, your envelope lists, from the giver's view in the people area. So navigating over here to the people view, you have the various different views that are available: individuals, households, givers. I'm going to navigate to the givers area here because it has a lot of interesting offering related information, or at least envelope related information. Looking at your giver's view, you can see here that those that are giving jointly, like David and Suzanne here, they are all on one record. So instead of individuals where there's two people on with one row per each, you can have them all on the same one, which definitely makes sense for things like envelope lists. You can include their address if you need to, as well as the envelope number, what they have right now, and then what it is that they have scheduled for. So the Abbotts are going to stick with having their number 1, but we can see here that Lacey Abbott here, she gives online. So she's going to be given that 400 number. And we can see here for the 2, for the Alexanders here, we can just kind of see exactly what those changes are going to be, as well as how it is that they're giving together, whether it's by marriage or through just an individual giving unit. From here, if you wanted just to have just an envelope list of what is upcoming, you can click on these headers here to order them however it is that you'd like. Right now it is ordered alphabetically, but if we wanted to order things by their next envelope number, clicking on here, it will all be in that order regardless of how it is in the current version. And then you could go ahead and download or print directly to Excel or directly from your browser so that you have that list before they are actually applied. And this can certainly be helpful for when those kind of outlier sort of offerings kind of pop up, so that you always know exactly what it is that they are, what these offerings to these particular envelope numbers are attributed to. In addition to the lists themselves, you can also generate envelope labels from this view as well. So if we wanted to, in addition to like the envelopes view, you can use that same sort of approach by clicking on this icon here, bringing down that drawer that we're getting familiar with. We can choose a particular range if we wanted to on exactly who it is that we want to show. So right now we're looking at 217 givers, whether or not they have an envelope number. But if we wanted to show just those who have just a envelope number assigned to them, whether it is the one starting at the 1 or starting at 400, we would have that full list. Or if we wanted to start with just those or those who have something less than that 400, just kind of keeping off those online folk, just those that have an envelope number less than 400, we can just include those. So we just have that 202 givers instead. And then when we go up here to the downloads option, we have the mailing labels option, which is available in other views here. We have the individuals, households, and givers. All of them do have labels available here, but particularly for the givers view that we are looking at right now, when we go into mailing labels, we are able to choose our template, whether we want to include barcodes or addresses. And then down here we have this additional third option where you can choose to print your current numbers, what they have right now, or their next envelope numbers that you have scheduled for them. So you can click on here and be able to print out your labels for next year whenever it is that you have these scheduled. So that can definitely be helpful so that you can do things just a little bit earlier from here on out. In addition to or once you have generated your lists and your labels, then you can just continue on with your typical admin tasks and not have to worry. It will all switch over on that particular date that you had scheduled that those envelope numbers for. If you did, in between now and that time that you have it scheduled, if you wanted to update it or just kind of check up on it, you can go back to this envelope number view, selecting envelopes, and it will have this little notification up here letting you know that something has been scheduled. And it will let you know how many giving units are scheduled and the date that you had marked them to be scheduled for. And so then you can just continually update if you wanted to, like in addition to the scheduled option, you can still apply updates immediately and still work in here if you need to. Or if you wanted to update what is going to be scheduled, you can click on this Edit Scheduled Renumbering to just kind of open it back up for editing here. And you can make any changes that you want so that you can add in, maybe with Jacob, we changed our mind and we wanted to add in 26 for an option here. Then we can go down here and resave that scheduled renumbering. And whenever it is that you save, you'll also be able to choose the date again. So even if you just choose that you want all of these changes to be, maintained, but you want it maybe moved a little bit sooner, you can click on the Save Scheduled Renumbering option. And instead of the 18th, maybe we'll choose the 11th instead, so that we can kind of move it up further, but it's still scheduled. I still have plenty of buffer time that I can continually update it from here on out. And just resave it, and it would be available for you to visit whenever it is that you'd like. In addition to that, you could also just delete the scheduled renumbering entirely as well and just start from scratch. So if it is scheduled, you have quite a bit of wiggle room. You have a lot of changes that you can continually update and kind of continually work on up until that actual time period. And if you do find that those changes have been applied too soon, please feel free to reach out to us here in support, and we can investigate and kind of set that back so that it will just be scheduled for whatever the next day would be. So we can definitely help with that. But if you did apply those changes immediately, you would probably need to go into the event log, kind of do some investigative work, maybe see any sort of other envelope lists you've already printed, and kind of maintain that information as well. With that information, I think in large part, that is about everything that I can think of. But let me just do a quick recap, and then we can just kind of open it up for additional questions, okay? So with that in mind, as a little recap, in Church360, envelope numbers are not required. You can solely add in offerings attached to a person's name. But we do have this additional field because there are still a substantial amount of churches that still use physical envelopes. So both churches that use them and churches that don't, Church360 will take care of you regardless. And users do not have to renumber every single year, just in certain cases where you're looking to consolidate, or if you just want to just continually renumber throughout the year, you can do that as well. It's just fully up to your preference, and you can just use the system as you need. Also, whenever it is that you renumber those envelopes, since it is a separate field, it does not affect any of your integrations or your previous offerings. So all offerings that were attributed to John Doe when he had envelope number 3, it will still be the same offerings as they would be to Joe having envelope number 36. It will not change that. You will still have all of that historical data. You would still be able to generate offering statements. None of that would be affected. And also with Vanco integration, they are also manually linked to giving units as well, so they would not be affected either. One thing to keep in mind, just to exercise just a bit of caution, once an envelope number has been applied, or that change has been applied, I needed to word that a little bit better, but once that change has been applied, it typically cannot be undone if it is applied immediately. So that is kind of why I was really encouraging you to use that scheduling option, so that you can kind of use it kind of like an in progress option. In addition to that, if it has been scheduled and saved and it is kind of automatically populated, then there is a big possibility that if you reach out to us here in support, we can reverse that major overhaul. So we can just kind of roll that activation back. You would still have all of those changes. They would just be scheduled for whatever the next day would be. And then also, when it has been scheduled, you can generate those envelope lists and envelope labels way before those envelopes even go into effect. So you can always have your labels and your lists generated way before you actually are going to be needing them, so that you can just kind of get ahead of the busy Advent season. And hopefully, you know, that can make things just a little less stressful at the end of the year regarding all of your other year-end related activities. So now I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. For anybody who does have questions, I'm definitely going to take some time to address them. Anybody who needs to cut out early or doesn't have any questions, got everything that they needed, then please feel free to go ahead and just have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you guys have any sort of questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us here in support, especially in the actual, site in the lower right hand area. We have that little eye icon. You can send us an email, you can start up a chat. We could definitely help you during your renumbering journey and answer any sort of questions that you have, and we would definitely be blessed to talk to you. So hope everybody is having a good day. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, and then we can just address any sort of questions that we have ahead of time.